Okay, we're going to call the Town of Coventry Economic Development Committee meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. on February 15th, 2023. We're going to start with agenda item number 1, which is attendance. Dr. Doug DeCabellis is absent. Jen Ludwig.
Here.
Tim Pimentel is absent. And Craig Pernado.
Here.
Can I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 18th, 2023, which were sent by Joanne on January 24th, 2023?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
And can I have a second?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, meeting minutes are approved from January 18th, 2023. There's no changes, right? You guys are good. Okay. Did you have a change? Okay. Moving on to old business. So agenda item, I think it's officially number 4, project updates. We're going to start with the video from CGI. So following last month's meeting, where they changed ownership and who to reach out to, we did receive updates on the video. We have a few that we're going to share with you today from Cody. There's 4 of them as of right now that we'll view. A few recommended changes before we get into it. Jen, is yours still listed as Vice President of the Town Council? So I did submit a request for that change already, as well as we are expecting. So if you can see on the right-hand side of the screen right now, there's the welcome, history, lifestyle, and community/organization. There's also going to be an education segment. Unfortunately, at the time that the video shoot was taking place, the team in Bend did not have access to get photos or get anything from the schools. So I reached out to the superintendent today to try to request images. Specifically, what I was looking for is, aside from just the outside perspective that CGI was looking for, is things that make us stand out, right? For me, Washington Oak, my children are there. So the big tree in the middle, and what that means to kids and those types of things. So I haven't heard back from him just yet, but when we do, I thought I said to CGI that I would follow up with them directly with anything we receive from the superintendent, as well as any feedback that we've received from you guys tonight, we can share back with them. Go ahead, Cody.
Welcome to a town centrally located in Rhode Island, offering relaxation and easy car rides to both Providence and a number of our state's ocean beaches. Whether you're a young professional, new family, or retired couple,
come enjoy the picturesque, friendly community of Coventry, Rhode Island.
Founded in 1741, the town of Coventry possesses a rich history that predates the Revolutionary War and adds to the charm and character here. From classic New England homes to modern ones to beautiful lofts and multifamily dwellings, there are lots of options for calling our community home. Discover high-quality public and private schools in town and nearby, where students can pursue great educations from the beginning all the way to college and post-grad. For recreation, a renowned setting means you'll be close to scenic walks and bike rides and other fun amenities. Experience Coventry today.
Very nice.
Do you guys want to provide feedback individually, or do you want to go through all of them one by one? Is it the Coventry?
So I had provided some feedback to the original contact, not only about my status, but also removing one of the other persons that had been interviewed. So I don't have to be in the video. This was just at the time they asked for some interviews. So I just want to be really clear on that. Like, I don't have to be in this thing. And if we get through the rest of the videos and we don't have interviews from anyone, maybe it's better just take me out. So whatever the flow feels best as, I'm not going to be offended. It was purely, they had asked for people and a few of us raised our hand. Nothing that I'm pursuing. So I just want to make that really clear. So you're not going to hurt my feelings if you're like, oh, we're not going to put this in.
So far, I will say in seeing the other videos, you are the only one that has kind of that cameo.
Okay.
It didn't stand out until you said something, and now I agree, maybe.
So if we had like a mayor form of government, having the mayor do something like that might be okay. But I'm one counselor of 5. And if you ask an average Coventryan, even if who the president is, they probably can't answer. So it seems kind of weird to have me do the cameo.
Well, it's very well done. I think that, but to your point, it could possibly date the video too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Changes in the transition. So,
Yeah.
and so maybe we'll go with Jen's feedback.
Okay,
It would make it something that can be more eternally used.
okay.
I do really appreciate you working with them and reaching out to Don Cowart. So if I can do anything to help with that, just let me know. I'm speaking with Don on unrelated things, but I already, I have a pipeline in there. So if you need any help, just let me know.
I'll let you know if I don't hear back for sure. Thank you. Any other feedback on video 1 before we continue?
It was very well done.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So the other ones, what you'll see are kind of pieces and components. Some of it's reiterated. Same thing with the education piece, right? It'll be reiterated, but depending on what somebody might be coming to maybe our site for, they might be only clicking on one of the videos. So go ahead, Cody, if you want to go to the next one. Thank you.
Coventry history has played a key part in U.S. history. Its people, businesses, politics, and much more have helped shape America into the country we understand and live in today. You'll find pieces of it in the sandy shores and old paths, once occupied by colonists, and everywhere from long-running places of worship to brick commercial buildings erected during the Industrial Revolution. Visit settings where you can feel the history flowing out, like the Payne House Museum, first built over 3 centuries ago in 1691, and the General Nathaniel Greene Homestead, home to one of the Revolutionary War's most famous military leaders. History, beauty, Coventry, Rhode Island.
Feedback?
It's looking great.
Yeah, I like that
Being a
one.
bit more short and brief to that point, I think is great. I mean,
Okay.
history can sometimes be, so I think that's a perfect time.
Perfect one. Zach.
Yep. Yep, captured everything.
Chairperson Bosworth, can I just ask one quick question?
Of course.
You know how we got that list of businesses when you reached out to the state? Is that something that you can provide to CGI? Because they were asking us for a list in which we didn't have. And it's a little bit, while they're doing this for free, for the town,
Mhm.
they need to make up that expense by different businesses. So can we at least offer it to them? It's public knowledge. We already have it. Almost like a, thank you for continuing to work on this with us. We have this list publicly available. While we might not have the integral details of exactly where the businesses are now or whatever, at least we have something we can provide back to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thanks.
If you want to start the next lifestyle one, Cody.
There's something for everyone in Coventry, Rhode Island. Love to bike, walk, even horse ride? Venture out and take in miles of gorgeous scenery on our newly repurposed historical rail corridor. Discover 2 lakefront beaches for some swimming and relaxation. Fish the Patuxent River or try out one of our several larger fishing ponds. For other activities, skateboard, play tennis, or basketball at the Herbert F. Payne Memorial Park. When looking for a place to live, enjoy a variety of options. Tour New England-style homes, the kinds you'll find in magazines, and more modern ones. A big town with the perfect small-town feel. Coventry, Rhode Island.
I think if you just want to hit the next one, if there's no objection, there's one more.
In our community, the value of community organizations improve our quality of life by the interests and spirit those organizations uphold. Community organizations provide opportunities for friends and neighbors to give back, get involved, and come together while creating a sense of pride for the city they all share. Contact a community organization today and discover the contribution you can make through your participation and support.
If I may,
Yes, of course.
on the lifestyle piece, while we want to keep it very Coventry centric, we do speak of in the entry, so many minutes to Providence, et cetera. Should we maybe open it up to, 20 minutes to Rhode Island's beaches and just like for more of the lifestyle piece? It was very Coventry centric, which is great. But since we make it more broad with the first segment, maybe just to appeal to different people that may not find lake living or horseback riding or something, that we're only minutes to 95, which can bring you to various other parts of what Rhode Island can offer.
Yeah, I think it does mention 95 or at least
The
highways
first one.
generically.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's a great point.
And then I think Coventry organization, it's so open and broad, but should we talk a little bit more about what we're trying to drive there? Is it more of like the sports programs and the organizations that exist to make available to families and such and to, or maybe just have a link to something else? Or like, I guess if I just clicked on that, I was thinking more of like the governmental style thing, but I guess community organizations are, more like sports and other things that the town has to offer. Maybe just add a few more tidbits of what that might be.
I think we're going to need to be careful mentioning like private organizations, but there are something like when they showed the courts, that shot was great. So some of the things like Director Blumenthal might be able to help just put a sentence, like a bullet or two together, just about some of the recreational. Yeah, something that the town specifically offers. And you can maybe more generally reference private organizations.
Or even just the town ones specifically, since we talk about schools in the first block, that would be something great, I think, to have the Coventry organizations of, maybe just highlight some of the town specific funded ones.
I don't know if it's going to date. Yeah, I was going to say, so softball's like, we have young women that are #1 in the state. And they're also, in top 25 in the nation. So I just don't know if that dates us by putting that in, because it's a seasonal rotation. So I'll give you an example. The last 2 years we've won, for lack of a better term, states, I guess. I don't know what exactly they call it here. So, but if they don't win this year, are we going to, as the video gets a year or 2 years old, does that become too old?
So
I don't know.
Speak to an actual winning or a title, but maybe just provide, critically acclaimed or acclaimed sports organization.
Oh yeah.
Try to just make it more general. You're not saying, like 2022.
Oh yeah. It's something like, our high school champion softball team and wrestling or some, whatever. Okay.
Right.
That might be interesting. Maybe you can include that when you reach out to Don, Chairperson Bosworth, because there's at least 2 or 3 sports that we consecutively do really, really well at the high school. And that's town-wide, as opposed to like just like a Washington Oak or this or that.
Right. The wrestling, the softball,
Yeah.
soccer. Yeah. Just maybe, I think that would speak better volumes if someone was trying to review the town for investment or relocation and their children were active. Oh, wow, they just didn't know. Then I guess they can go on and do their own research, but it just might entice them to do more.
Okay.
I had one other thing, kind of on the back of when you were talking about 95. That was actually something I was thinking of too. Like we mentioned close to the highway, but we're such a small state that actually referencing like 95 or something like that it doesn't seem out of the ordinary to mention it because it's like the major throughway through the entire state.
Yeah.
but almost something like, I'm just wondering if there's anything that can be referenced in terms of businesses here. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but we have a couple shots, and I think it was more so on the first video of some of the quote unquote downtown areas like on Tioga. I don't know if it's worth it, but I was just thinking that was the one piece that I thought there might be something about it. But I remember when they came to do the video, we didn't really have a quote unquote downtown to say, go here and you can get shots of people on the street kind of thing. It's more like shoppers malls here. So I don't know if it's worth it, but I mean, technically we have everything from mom and pop shops to all the way up to big box stores.
That are more, say, strategically located, or I mean, that would be kind of great too, that we're not just like littered, that there's a beautiful mom and pop, like shopping district, and then we have a very convenient, more big, referencing center of New England, but we have like a more focused.
Yeah.
So maybe align something speaking to the convenience of everyday needs along with the small business contributions or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe they can
The
help
makeup
us
of the town is
word it, because that's the one thing that I was like, okay, if people were coming here to move here, that would be one thing, but we're also looking for economic development just as a personal interest. So if they can help us mention it in some way, that might be good.
that Coventry has a very good balance and a myriad of mom and pop small business to larger scale for your convenience.
Yeah, that sounds something like that sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be awesome. Because there are towns that are very remote that don't have the conveniences of all of that. And people have to travel quite a distance. Well, keeping to the landscape of Coventry, you have, I think that's a good appeal right there. Okay.
So, Chairperson, what is the next step? Like I'm assuming you're gonna provide some feedback, and do they have like a target timeline or something like that?
So, I mean, they were able to turn this around for us in a very short amount of time once we provided some of the latest information. I don't have an exact timeline. I do think that once we give them, the individual has been very responsive in terms of if I'd email and say, okay, I reached out to the superintendent, for instance, she replied within a matter of seconds. So it seems like maybe they're looking to wrap this up with us just as much as we might be looking to wrap it up with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, she's awaiting our confirmation tonight and feedback. We can actually upload the feedback directly to the tool where the videos are posted. I would expect probably in the next week or two, they'll make all the feedback adjustments that we ask. And then it's just a matter of when we get images for the education department. And she sent a link that we have the capability to upload those images directly to a link to ensure a quick response, hopefully, and receipt. And I would say hopefully by our next meeting, we should be able to have this wrapped up.
We're in a little bit of a tricky time period here. So the interim town manager, I believe he's ending with us, not this Friday, but next Friday. So if, I'll just keep in contact with you about how we kind of make sure that we have somebody from the town stamping what's happening here. The assistant town manager resigned and is only here through the end of next week as well. Otherwise, I would have gone to her. So over the next, 2-3 weeks, I'll just keep in touch with you because we want somebody at town hall to feel confident on what we've, said, yes, this is good for the town website. And then they expect to post it and we go, oh no, you're not allowed to do that.
Right.
So what I'll do is when you say we can post feedback right on the video links, is it something that we can share a draft link like with the solicitor or someone and say, hey, in the absence of having a town manager over the next couple of weeks here, can you just tell us if there's anything controversial here?
Yeah, so as Cody just went to the link, which I forwarded to him today, underneath each of the 4 videos, there's a checkbox that says approval, approved. If you uncheck that box, any one of them, you can uncheck it, Cody, just to show. When you do, you enter all your feedback there, and at the bottom green button is submit all changes.
Okay, so it's like a draft link that's
Yes.
that's not out to the public. Okay.
Correct.
So I think just based on the timing of when we think it's ready, let's just connect so we can figure out whether or not we need to get either a new town manager, existing interim town manager, or solicitor involved, or whomever. I haven't heard anything controversial. I just want somebody to stamp it so that we haven't done all the work and then they sit there and say, oh no, we can't put this on the website because you didn't do XYZ, whatever it is.
Yep. Yeah, so our final sign off will be from somebody in the town.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, got it.
But I ask a question with a proposed question here. So based on the strategy and the budget, this was done very well. Would there be a chance that this company could just take sort of snaps of what we've even seen? I think even in the very first category, is there a way to create more of a commercial that we would have a budget to potentially go into mainstream media throughout the state to advertise the town a little bit, to generate more, of an EDC commerce opportunity and then drive an interest of people? I mean, there's probably people living across the state that don't really know too much about Coventry, but is there any way of just, using most of the work that's been done into a snippet of media and sharing it with, Cox Cable or some of our local cable stations, or actually running a little media campaign, which is kind of what we talked about last year, kind of having something to drive an interest of people to come into town, investigate it, shop, dine, or even just say, wow, Coventry looks like a great little town. We should go consider it within our real estate search, or other investors, looking at the town.
It might be worth,
but having more of a business centric component to it.
might be worth asking,
Open for development. And
I think what they told us a year ago was, once we hand over the material to you, you can do whatever you want with it.
oh, great.
So I'm pretty sure that was the response, but maybe just the chairperson can include that as a question to say, hey, if we wanted to use this in additional marketing, is that okay? Is it our material once you hand it over?
Okay. I'm quite certain we could provide this information to Cox Media and they could create a commercial for us. But, I would like to add more of an EDC commerce spin to it, to just get interested parties into town, just to create some traffic and things like that. I don't know if we're in the capacity of doing that. I know the town's never done that before, but, I certainly see commercials for other cities and towns quite often. On your, 6, 10, and 12 stations.
It might be an interesting angle for example, upcoming fireworks or something, to say, hey, Coventry's doing this, check out the town, kind of thing. Yeah, let's find out.
Okay. That's cool.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's very well done.
Any other comments or feedback on the CGI video?
Nope.
Okay. Agenda item 4B is the community gift cards. So I had an action from the last meeting to try to follow up and see where we were from when Ben had left off. So I did reach out through the Give a Ring websites to request a follow-up and received word back. They were able to change the contact information over to myself from Ben, and we're working to get reacquainted. The gentleman, Mark, over at Give a Ring, had forwarded me his calendar information actually today. So I followed up with him on the 23rd following our last meeting. And we went back and forth a few times. He gave me access to his calendar today. So I'm going to schedule a follow-up meeting with him to see how do we pick up from where we left off? What do we need from a town standpoint? And really just understand what support the town needs to provide to determine if it's something that we have to wait for additional resources from the town to support. If it's something that, we could do through the EDC with a shared workload. So
that, I know we kind of talked about it and then dropped it over the summer kind of thing. Anything I can do to help with this, let me know, because the time to get working on it is before the summer, because then we have enough time to hit the holiday season. So I think that's kind of the sweet spot where if we launch it before Thanksgiving, people can actually buy them and use them for the holiday season.
Exactly.
We missed the window admittedly last year. I can help figure out how we can do something to get either some support or what, if you can help find out what kind of support do they need or what kind of approvals or whatever, I can help us figure out how to navigate town hall for that.
Okay. So I will work with Mark to figure out what we need to do next, and then I'll hand it off to you with whatever that information is, and we can move forward from there.
Sounds good.
Okay. Next up, I will hand it over to you in regards to the business survey.
Sure. So we've already voted on the business survey in a past meeting. I had the updated survey with the feedback from last time and the updated tax rates sent out in a soft copy. I sent that to Ed, the interim town manager, and he forwarded everyone a copy. And I will work on figuring out how to get it kind of just a general sign off from him, hopefully this week, so that we can have someone like Cody help us kind of create the link and the survey on the website. I was suggesting we get this done in the next week or two so that we could put a timeline on the survey of March 14th, because then we would have the results for the 15th. And also the council, one of the questions that we had discussed putting on there about an economic development coordinator, if we're seeing a number of responses on there that say, yes, we want to be able to send that to the council, or have someone from EDC actually present to the council and say, we'd like you to consider this for the upcoming budget before it gets too late. So
I'm sorry, just to confirm the timeline, you said for posting the survey to the website.
I'm hoping in the next week. Yeah. So it's 10. Yeah, it's 10 questions. And I'm going to try and see if I can get on Ed's radar and see if there's any concern with posting the survey. And it also depends obviously on Director Houghton's schedule and backlog and some of those things also. So I'll be need to be sensitive to that as well.
And then I think we talked about, just to make sure, is the goal would be to put it out on social media. We would have a link at the top of the website as well, just as a banner type thing to catch everybody's attention.
The town Facebook page.
Town Facebook page.
Yeah. And then if we can have the EDC members help kind of push it as well.
Yep. And I did take a quick look at the survey when the interim town manager sent it out today, but just to confirm, at the very bottom, is there an open comments section in general? That was one of the things that we talked about last month.
So I had updated the free, like a free format for almost every one of the questions. And then what I thought we could do is in the copy that was sent out this afternoon, I made number 11 say, oh, would you be interested in joining or providing feedback? I don't think that's actually a question. That maybe that's where the do you have feedback is. Maybe it is a survey question, maybe it's not, but we just have to see what Director Houghton thinks is available. So if we need to make it a question and make it 11 questions and then have free format,
okay,
we can do that. Or if it's just, we'll see what the options are, but yes, we can do something like that.
okay, perfect.
And Jen, if you would, the town manager at Coventry, Rhode Island, with all the, shifting and changing going on, does that just come into one central database no matter who's at the helm?
Yes.
Is
So
that
they
remote?
just instituted that
Okay.
in the last few weeks. So
People can access that if there's data coming in. If we launch the survey in say 14 days with the current manager.
Yes,
transitioning,
that's my understanding.
Okay.
So also for
good
example,
reason.
yeah. So for example, my understanding is that they're checking both, but maybe can we ask you real quick?
Awesome.
quick report on Eric, title.
Good idea. Yep.
But that's my email address, and it forwards Ed's current email address, and then we're looking at the evidence.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else on the survey before we move on to the story walk and hidden gem projects? Okay. So admittedly, last month we talked, I think, a little bit in depth on the story walk and hidden gem project in terms of where we are. I did come today here to represent yet again the hidden gem project. Just gonna keep this street out wherever we are. But I think the challenge to us last time was to Tim and myself was to complete a business case for both projects. And unfortunately, I have not done that just yet. So that is something that we will have to go back to. I will create those and submit them back to the team to look at for advice and feedback, and then we can move forward from there. In the meantime, for the story walk, there was a few conversations about how we would get the story walk signs installed. Jen, I know you were going to reach out to Parks and Rec.
And do it.
Okay, nope, that's, I can't say anything. I didn't do my answers either there. I did hear back from the Boy Scouts though today. Actually, they sent me a follow-up to just say that they absolutely can help to keep them posted on what they can do. So
Okay.
I think we do have an avenue if needed. And I'll circle back with them and give more information about the project, what it would mean, and just validate that they are able to support if it's something we need them to do.
Okay.
Anything else on either of those? I also did not reach out to the manufacturer to see if we can get any better pricing. So that's another point I'll have to come back to. Okay. Agenda item F was around the summer bash. Overall, we considered that the project would be completed from our perspective since it's being done by Parks and Rec, but Dr. DeCabellis did confirm that he was going to reach out to Director Blumenthal to see if there was anything the EDC could support to help with during the event. Unfortunately, he is absent here tonight, but that is something that we can circle back to maybe next month.
Sure.
Last up was the RFP, and I think same point stands, Jen, there's no changes in terms of the town council requesting funds to be put on hold at this time.
I need my memory jogged here. Is the RFP the one that we're talking about going out for like a marketing group or someone to come in?
That's what I was.
Yes.
Yes.
So so in theory, we can put out any RFP we want. The hard part is right now we don't have any money to actually do it. So any group that puts a proposal together and sends something in, it's not gonna, so I want to be a good citizen and not waste anyone's time. But on the other hand, it would be good to have the information so we can come back and know what to ask for the council.
Right.
I have to be honest, without a really solid plan here, with this year's budget cycle has already kicked off. So I just don't see this being added this year, just realistically. So
I think it would be, excuse me. I think it would be great though, on a much shorter investment to leverage the video access for the commercial and media. That's kind of like what we're trying to get to, right? I think with all of this was trying to have a professional engineering or marketing group come in who can assess a town and quickly identify all the various positive attributes and then use that to advertise economic and commerce, et cetera. That was, I think, always the original goal, which can be a very big investment. But I think this video is really great. And maybe we could leverage that on a much shorter timeline and a much shorter budget to do. I mean, we were just trying to bring Coventry, we're just trying to create an awareness of the town And I think if we could just tweak the language a little bit, we could use some of that media to do just that and have a really nice, 30 or 40-second snapshot that maybe we could put out there
Mhm.
onto media just to attract people. That was really when we first got engaged as an EDC, as all lay people here in town. We didn't have, I admittedly said, I don't have the strategy or input or analysis to really look at the features of the town and take that and put it into something that we could go out and sort of, create the appeal
Mhm.
to drive people into town. But that video has done such a great job, but that's why I was thinking that if we could leverage that, it might be just kind
I-
of skip over that for now.
Well, yeah, so I'm on the same page with you,
I think.
Mr. Bernardo. So I almost want to ask if we could put the discussion about RFP on hold until,
I agree with you.
September.
Yeah.
Because I just
I agree.
don't
There's a
see
lot
us
of other
moving. Yeah,
things
I
that-
just don't see us moving forward on this particular item. And there's other shorter term things that feel like they're going to progress. Yes. And actually, I wanted to suggest the same thing, Chairperson Bosworth, about between Story Walk and Hidden Gem.
Don't crush my dreams here.
So I just want to be really conscious. We have a really small group right now. There's turnover at town hall. I just don't want to,
I think the
where
execution
this-
of it
yeah.
would be potentially faulted by.
yes, I just want to be cautious that I don't want you to invest so much time into both projects and we have limited staff at town hall to help. So I just want you to keep that in mind, because if it comes down to your personal time, Tim's time, people's individual time, I am absolutely comfortable, taking your recommendation to focus on one versus two, something like that. So I'm not looking to crush any dreams. I know the library has said they would help with it, one of these, but I just want to be really clear, like it's a lot. Yeah.
Here, and with it
it's a lot.
now changed.
Yeah, it's a lot. So,
I agree. I
Okay.
would support Jen's counsel on that.
so our RFP will put out for several months, and maybe we don't need to talk about it on an agenda for the next couple months.
I think the infrastructure has to be better set up for us to execute any townwide event
Hmm.
independently. So.
The next two items on the agenda are relating to voting. That was a modified version of the agenda, I think, than what I had set out. Is there any? Voting? No. Okay. So we can bypass those two since we've already discussed them and move on to the comprehensive plan. I believe when we spoke last month regarding this, Jen, you had confirmed that Director Durfee was going to be going back to see if you were going to be working back, I'm sorry, with Director Durfee to see if there was any updates to the beta, and you were going to provide.
So I did get some updates. I just didn't have time to forward that along. So there's some updates available in a soft copy version, and Director Durfee has actually set the next public meeting for March, but I'm not sure of the exact date. So what I'll do is I'll forward the materials from Director Durfee. Actually, maybe I can just give him all of your email addresses and have him send it to you directly. I don't want to create an opportunity for conversation across the commission. So I'll figure out the right way to do that and get everybody the links and the information for the next public meeting.
Okay. And you said the next public meeting is in March, you believe?
Yes, I just don't know the date.
Okay. Any other questions on that? No. Okay. And for that, I believe we discussed last month that the feedback link is available on the website. Is that still true? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So any feedback we have as we're reviewing it can be provided directly on the website. Okay. Agenda item number 7 is around remit and goals. Last month, we put a lot of these discussions on hold. 3 people had submitted applications to the EDC, and I know that the interim town manager was in the process of hiring. Do you happen to know if there's any updates to that?
So I had spoken with Mr. Wazika just to get a sense of whether we can maybe get one person appointed, just because he just wants to be careful because he doesn't want to appoint all these people and then he's leaving. So I'll check in with him again, but I think it was one of the candidates was possible. And then I had another candidate reach out to me and asked to submit an application. So hopefully by this time in the next meeting, we'll have at least one person appointed and 2 or 3 other people that have an application in. For the time being, because we have a lot of stuff we're working on, so I don't think this necessarily puts things on hold. But I will just mention what we had talked about a year ago. I put this on the beginning of the survey. The EDC is committed to voicing citizen and businesses' issues, concerns, and new ideas, and promoting a general well-being for new and existing businesses in Coventry. Maybe we just kind of go through that. We kind of live by that for right now. And then once we get, the additional 1 or 2 persons here, we can formalize something. So we're so close to debate something for half an hour now and then have 1 or 2 new people and just within a month or 2, just,
Right.
I don't want to have the same debates 3 times. So if that's possible, that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that what I'm hearing us say is for now, we all agree that we will abide and live with the current guidelines and plans for now, continue to work through our actions and hopefully have a more solid discussion in future months
With potential 2 new candidates.
with new candidates. Okay, perfect. Next up was around the list of businesses. So in months previous, I believe it was the December timeframe, we had discussed in one of our sessions around reaching out to the Secretary of State. I believe it was your suggestion, Mr. Bernardo, around them potentially having access to lists of businesses. We did receive that list very
Okay.
quickly.
Oh, wow. Great.
We have it. We discussed in our last session, what do we do with it? Is there any risk or complication if we were to say post that or build a business directory on our website? So the suggestion was to reach out to the town solicitor to see if it was something that we could publish or do.
I didn't know.
I reached out to the town solicitor just today. I know, Jen, you were going to. I thought it was my action until I reread it, but I had already reached out as a follow-up as well. So I did send an email and confirm, and I had already sent one following our last meeting. So I haven't heard back yet, but hopefully maybe we will soon.
Was it a data file that we could easily filter and manipulate, or was it just, okay, great.
It was an Excel sheet. It does not, so it contains the name and address. It does not contain email address or phone number information.
Exactly what we needed.
Right.
It doesn't have what we
The
need.
pieces of information we wanted, it doesn't have.
I'm actually surprised because I get contacted from them directly. Maybe it was just a matter of whether or not they felt they could share that.
Yeah, I don't know.
She said they didn't have it.
Interesting. I mean, it's part of a protocol when we sign up for a license through them.
She's my friend. She didn't lie to me. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Okay. Let's see. Next up is around budget discussions and roles. We discussed putting those items on hold last month as well until we had a little bit more of a group here to offer advice or suggestions. I know you did mention that the budget discussions are already underway.
So there's two kind of pieces to this. The first one is, as an EDC, what do we want to put in for our budget for the next fiscal year that starts July 1st? And the second thing is, do we have any suggestions to the council on what we'd like to see? And that, for example, would be the suggestion of a new position, economic development coordinator. So if we handle it in two different pieces, we're going to need something for our commission's budget that outlines why we're asking for budget, how we would use it. In essence, how and when we would use it in the next fiscal year. And it just naturally, because these are the questions that I would ask if it came to the council, I would say, well, what was your budget this year? Did you end up using it? Or will you end up using it by the end? So we need to be prepared to answer that. My understanding is, as a budget line item, we had 10K for the commission. I know we're looking at using a chunk of that for two of the programs we talked about earlier. So I don't think we have to outline a whole business case for those two things, but just some bullets or something that says, this is what we're looking at using the money for this fiscal year. And here is what we're asking for the next fiscal year. And approximately what it will go towards. I have to be honest, I have not thought that far ahead.
Yeah.
We want to be realistic. So something probably in the 5K range is probably realistic. So for example, the Historic Commission gets 5K annually to do those types of projects. So I think what we need to do is bring those suggestions to our March meeting. We'll have our feedback from the survey, and that will hopefully we'll have some responses on there, and we can take a vote on kind of what we ask for. And also addressing the second piece, do we have a recommendation to the council on that economic coordinator?
Okay. You mentioned some of the other groups or teams, like the Historic Preservation Committee gets a budget of 5K annually. Is that something that they reapply for every year? Or is it allocated automatically?
Nothing is automatic when it comes to money. So in theory, you can't have less of a total budget than you did the year before in Rhode Island. So for example, it can be allocated different, but you can't, you have to start where you start.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So for example, just because we got 10K last year doesn't mean we'll get a dime for next year. We need to kind of prove what that's for.
Okay.
That could get allocated to something else. So there are some groups like Historic Commission where some years nothing gets allocated, and then some years they get it year after year and they do nothing with it. However, I put a process in place for them to submit budget items last year and for this year. And I'm suggesting we do the same, or I guarantee we're going to lose it.
Okay. We'll have that prepared then for March.
Okay, great. Any other feedback on that or anything regarding the remit and goals section?
Negative.
Okay. We can move on to agenda item number 8, which is the 117 South Main Street Bridge construction and the impact to local businesses. This was something I believe that we had in our discussion in December.
Correct.
And last month, I believe, Jen, you confirmed you were going to reach out to Craig and try to obtain more information. Was there
And
discussion?
Councilwoman Ludwig did in extraordinary detail and had reached out to many other departments and organizations and has identified that that bridge is not on any type of plan this year or next for any type of major work or even change of traffic, which is
Yeah.
great. And there had been, I minimally spoke to about 10 business owners along the 117 path. And actually one or two on the Tyoke side. And they were incredibly relieved to hear that. Many of the businesses were sure in the Dave's Marketplace, et cetera. So, yeah, that was a big relief based on what has happened for infrastructure impacts in the last couple of years. So, great.
There are some resources on RIDOT that, everyday citizens, we can go in and access just to see what bridges and things are being worked on. But thankfully, I was also able to speak with Assistant Town Manager Maria Broadbent, and she was able to speak with the engineering department at RIDOT. So as far as we can tell, that we can't find anything on even designs, plans. There's nothing scheduled. There's nothing budgeted. So if anyone hears anything else concrete, like you actually have a source that I can follow up with, feel free to send it over.
And believe it or not, of a grassroots effort, there was a water main break on the bridge. Now going back like 4 or 5 weeks ago, I walked over to some of the DOT professionals there as it was about a 7-hour project. And I was just trying to ask some general questions and there was no, once they had that issue fixed, they were just moving on. So, I think we tried our very best. We've
Okay.
put a lot of effort toward that. Based on the impact, the negative impact, I
Of course.
appreciate that on behalf of systems.
Okay. And I think moving into new business, the last item on the agenda before we open it up for public comment is around the businesses with signage updates and modifications. I think that the EDC had somebody had brought to our attention was around the Dunkin' Donuts sign and the requirement to go through some of the hoops and processes when a new sign is requested or needed. Did you want to follow up with anything?
So I was, as a business owner who owns commercial real estate in the vicinity of the Dunkin' Donuts on 117, I had been notified that they were trying to just basically update their existing sign as a requirement to their business practice. And they technically had to go through the entire zoning process all over again to make a color and font and image change to an existing sign, not making it any larger or any smaller. And I thought that was an incredible or extraordinary waste of resources and money for any business owner to have to go through that. And I certainly believe that our zoning department should be abreast of changes, but I think it could be done a bit more fluidly and a bit quicker and not entail the business owner to have to get legal involved and the timelines to do that. Now that store had been remodeled for going back almost a year ago, and they're still waiting for the sign. I guess with changes here and, zoning, and they kept going on calendars and agendas and kind of getting missed. So the sign that they once had technically had to be removed in compliance to their franchise agreement. But that just puts everyone at a risk of any business owner looking to make a change or an improvement to the existing structure. Again, I firmly believe should have a zoning stamp, but I don't know that they have to go in front of town council and zoning meetings and spend all the money that they have to do to navigate that. And I think they took upon their own legal in order to not have to do it themselves, hoping that that would just get done faster if they had an attorney coming in to kind of push the approval along. But it's an extraordinary cost. So, that's a bigger company, but for any small business in the area to have to do that. And there's a lot of signs that are decrepit and things like that. And I really think a lot of people just don't want to do anything because they're afraid to go through the whole process again.
So this is
up a lot as well.
Yeah, this is absolutely what this group should be looking at. So approximately year and a half ago, I had reached out to two businesses in town that I had heard through the grapevine that they had a similar sign issue. And they didn't really want to get into it. It's not that, it kind of seemed like, oh, geez, that took forever. It was a pain in the butt. I'm glad it's over. I don't want to talk about it. It wasn't that they didn't want to talk to me. It was more like, that was, it was such a painful process. I'm never updating my sign again. So, and I was kind of new to the role as well, to be honest. So, I think at this point, what would be good is, let's bring that, up in a couple ways. So firstly, I'm meeting with Director Durfee, sometime in the next week or two. I can chat with him and also take a look at the links about some of the comp plan to see if we have any plans to address signage. Number two, we can take a look in the ordinances and everything to see what is the process for that right now. And we can bring it into this group and say, this is what it is right now. Do we think something is needed that would be helpful for businesses, and what would that be? And then I can bring it, and either this group can present it to the council and ask for something, or I can bring it and get a second sponsor, and we can actually bring it to the council for consideration on an ordinance change, or, et cetera. So there's a couple things we could do.
Change for sure. And there have to be professional individuals in the zoning department that can review an engineered plan from a signing company. All the specs, again, this isn't grassroots. I'm drawing something on a Post-it note looking for something. When you invest thousands of dollars into a sign, it's often provided to you, the business owner, from a sign company. And I think, someone in that office should be able to look at that, take a stop out to the site, ensure everything is all in balance, and then just approve the sign. And not have to go through months of.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly how the process works today.
I've gone through it myself twice.
Okay.
And it's not easy.
It might be good to have you walk us through that in the next meeting, and then we can pull any of the ordinances or anything that, so we can see in front of us what
37 page.
Yeah. Specific. So here's the thing. You can't just, we can't just go to the council and say, we need to change the signage. Like, we need to say,
No.
listen, this is the background. This is what we want changed. This is the wording that we're interested in going towards. And then we can vote on having, for example, the town solicitor review some language and bring it back to the council, something like that.
Yeah.
So we need to actually get into the nitty-gritty on what we'd like to see different to provide the recommendation.
And I do believe too, that when you're putting in cement pylons near curving, you have to have a process in place to ensure that DigSafe has been out there. If there's power now going to an old rickety sign that was on a street side, and now they're providing power. There's a lot of aspects to the approval process in that, but when you're simply changing over a sign, but once the sign comes down, it technically becomes a problem in the town, because now they're, if you're literally just taking a sign down and putting the exact same one up, there's just, you can get cited and everything else and question as to what you're doing. But yeah, I think we just have to streamline it gently, I think.
So why
But that
don't we?
department has to become more readily accessible too.
So I'll chat with Director Durfee about which ordinances, what part of the policies we should look at that specifically relate to signage. And then,
And if I may, too, there's been a lot of questions about digital signs. So there's various digital sign options today. The ones that are rapid changing still, and I think maybe in some of our more specific or micro business areas, it may be something that we could consider, as other towns have. I know a lot of the, gas stations have digital signs that don't flicker and change. So when you're broadcasting one image, and I understand the zoning concern about who's going to police that after, right? So if they approve it, who's going to police the fact that someone's sign is changing, 7 messages in a minute? It's creating, havoc to traffic and stuff like that. So, sometimes just to say no creates, it's just an easier way around it.
So Chairperson Bosworth, could we put this on the agenda for next month? And then when I find out some information and links, I'll have either Director Durfee or Mr. Razika, I'll get somebody to forward along some of that so people can read it in advance.
Yeah, so 2 actions I took from this conversation around businesses with signage updates or modifications is first that Jen, you'll work with Director Durfee on the comp plan and see if there's anything that's already being reviewed or discussed in terms of signage enhancements or modifications. And Craig, you're going to take the action to prepare for our next session to walk us through the process of what it would be like to request a signage change.
Mhm.
Okay.
If I may, just continuing under new business as well, just to keep this in mind for our next meeting. The other request I have to the team, and Jen discussed exactly the hit on this and what we should be doing. We have 2 tax brackets in town, residential and commercial. So personally, I've just noticed some terrific turnaround to a lot of commercial real estate on Sandy Bottom Road. And I'm sure a lot of that construction was put on hold while the road construction was being done and the bridge. And now that that work has been done, if you've noticed yourself, the plazas there are completely turning over and all new facades, and it's a breath of fresh air to that section there. Some other towns and cities in the area will often, to promote commercial facelifts and investments, they will make, again, with the camaraderie of the zoning department and the building department and the specifications of what's being done, but not to say tax break, but they may revise their tax bracket. So maybe if a commercial business is looking to make a $500,000 update, potentially they could get a modification in their tax rate for so many years, which would all be dependent, and it would turn back on after. But for maybe every 500,000 that's invested, you get 3 years of that property being assessed at residential tax versus commercial, or just something like that, just to try to help and promote more economic growth and change and facelift. But
So
I'm trying to use the right lingo here. But
no, I get what you're saying. So this
we don't
would
want to
be,
take tax breaks, because that's
I know nobody
often
likes,
looked at, but
nobody likes that word. So
tax relief.
this would be, there's lots of words for incentives,
Yes.
for investing in your community.
Yeah.
So this is, it's a tough item to bring up, because you have some people who don't want any tax breaks for anybody or incentives or this or that. And then other people like, it'll help economic development, it'll help this, it'll help that. So this feels like something that should be somewhat data driven, because how can you say yes to something like this and not know what the impact is? So this is an exact example of what someone at a staff level position could help the town figure out. So
Getting back to a coordinator for the group.
I have to say it again, because
No,
to have this group figure out the financial impact of that,
Agreed.
I think is going to take a while for us to do. And any broad assumptions we make are going to be scrutinized because we don't have our data in order.
Sure.
So then we need to work with the tax assessor's office, and then we have to individually do that. So I just want to throw out there that this is an example of, I've heard multiple, including myself, I've heard multiple council persons say they want ideas coming to the council that will help with different types of infrastructure, visual impact for residents, things like that. And this is what that person could do and manage to get people into that type of program. So I just want to say that firstly. Secondly, year after year, this position had got voted down in the past. So I didn't even bring it up last year, but maybe this is the year for us to kind of bring it forward in March. And even if not, I would still be interested in figuring out if there's a way to get some information from our group. Maybe maybe this is one of the items that we say, hey, why don't we take a look at this in Q2? Because, for example, right now we have a couple things going on. We're going to take a look at the signage thing, the survey. There's 2 possible projects. We have the video, the gift cards, et cetera, that we're all picking up right now. So I would definitely be interested in continuing the talk on this one. Maybe Chairperson Bosworth would consider, maybe we pick up the discussion after 1 or 2 of the current projects, kind of drop off our plates in the next 2 or 3 months.
Yep, I can add it as an open point on our running action item list and we can circle back to it at a future date.
Yeah, sounds great.
Thank you.
Any other comments or feedback before we open it up for public comment?
No.
Okay. Cody, do we have anybody on with us for public comment? Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned at 7:36 PM. Thank you.
Right.